What happens when Hollywood's most controversial wellness guru sits down with television's most outspoken skeptic? Today, we're diving into one of the most explosive moments in daytime television history, where what started as a routine celebrity interview turned into an all-out war of words that left viewers stunned, and a list actress walking off set in fury. Make sure you subscribe and drop a comment because you're not going to believe how this unfolds. Gwyneth Paltrow glided onto The View set that Tuesday morning with her usual serene confidence, dressed in an elegant cream-colored blazer that seemed to glow under the studio lights. The audience applauded warmly as she settled into the guest chair, her signature smile radiating the kind of calm that comes from years of meditation retreats and expensive therapy sessions. Whoopi Goldberg welcomed her with genuine warmth. "Gwyneth, it's always such a pleasure to have you here. You look absolutely radiant, as always." "Thank you so much, Whoopi. I'm thrilled to be back," Gwyneth replied, her voice carrying that distinctive mix of Hollywood polish and wellness guru wisdom that had made her both beloved and ridiculed in equal measure. Sarah Haynes leaned forward with enthusiasm. "So tell us about your latest venture with Goop. I hear you're expanding into some really innovative territory." Gwyneth's eyes lit up. "We are, Sarah. We're really pushing the boundaries of what wellness can mean in people's lives. We've just launched a new line of frequency-enhanced water that's been restructured at the molecular level to optimize cellular hydration." "That sounds fascinating," Sunny Hostin chimed in. "How exactly does that work?" "Well, it's based on cutting-edge research about water memory and vibrational healing. The water molecules are exposed to specific sound frequencies that enhance their natural healing properties," Gwyneth explained with the confidence of someone who genuinely believed every word. But Joy Behar had been sitting silently, her arms crossed, wearing an expression that could only be described as barely contained disdain. Finally, she couldn't hold back any longer. "Oh, come on," Joy interrupted, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Frequency-enhanced water? Are you seriously sitting here trying to sell people expensive water based on pseudoscience?" The atmosphere in the studio shifted instantly. Gwyneth's serene expression faltered slightly, but she maintained her composure. "Joy, I understand that some people are skeptical of alternative approaches to health and wellness." "Skeptical?" Joy leaned forward aggressively. "I'm not skeptical. I'm rational. You're literally trying to convince people that water has memory. That's not alternative medicine. That's a fairy tale." Whoopi tried to intervene. "Joy, let's keep this respectful." But Joy was just getting started. "Respectful? Whoopi, she's charging people $200 for a bottle of water that she claims has magical properties. How is that not a scam?" Gwyneth's cheeks flushed slightly, but her voice remained measured. "Joy, I think you're mischaracterizing what we do. Goop has always been about empowering people to explore what works for their individual bodies and minds. We're not forcing anyone to buy anything. Empowering?" Joy's voice rose. "You're exploiting vulnerable people who are desperate for solutions to their health problems. You take advantage of their trust and sell them overpriced nonsense with no scientific backing whatsoever." The other hosts exchanged uncomfortable glances as the tension escalated. Sarah tried to redirect. "Maybe we could talk about your acting projects?" But Joy wasn't finished. "No. I want to talk about this because it matters. Gwyneth, you have a platform, you have influence, and you use it to promote products and treatments that could actually harm people. What about that jade egg fiasco? The FDA had to step in because your company was making medical claims about a piece of stone that women were supposed to insert into their bodies." Gwyneth's calm facade was beginning to crack. That situation was blown completely out of proportion by the media. The jade egg is an ancient practice that many women find beneficial for pelvic floor health. "Ancient practice?" Joy scoffed. "Just because something is old doesn't mean it's good. Bloodletting is an ancient practice too. Should we bring that back?" "That's a ridiculous comparison," Gwyneth shot back, her voice losing some of its ethereal quality. "Is it, though?" Joy pressed on relentlessly. You sell vaginal steaming treatments that gynecologists say can cause infections. You promote supplements that interact dangerously with prescription medications. You tell people they can cure cancer with positive thinking and expensive smoothies. I have never told anyone to avoid conventional medical treatment, Gwyneth protested, her composure slipping further. Maybe not directly, but you certainly imply it, Joy continued. You create this narrative that Western medicine is corrupt and that your expensive alternatives are pure and natural and better. You prey on people's distrust of the medical establishment. Sunny jumped in, trying to defuse the situation. But Joy wasn't backing down. No, what I'm trying to say is much simpler than that. I'm saying that Gwyneth Paltrow has built a business empire by lying to women and charging them premium prices for products that range from useless to potentially dangerous. The studio audience had gone completely silent, sensing that this had moved far beyond typical daytime television banter. Gwyneth's hands were now visibly trembling, and her carefully maintained composure was hanging by a thread. Joy, that is completely unfair, Gwyneth said, her voice tight with controlled anger. You're attacking me personally, instead of engaging with the actual science behind what we do. What science? Joy shot back immediately. Show me one peer-reviewed study that proves your frequency water works. Show me clinical trials for your energy healing patches. Show me any legitimate research that supports 90% of what Goop sells. Gwyneth opened her mouth to respond, but Joy continued her assault. You can't, because there isn't any. You hide behind words like ancient wisdom and alternative healing, but what you're really doing is taking advantage of people who are struggling with their health and their self-esteem. That is absolutely not true, Gwyneth fired back, her voice rising for the first time. Goop has helped millions of women feel empowered about their health and wellness choices. Empowered to waste their money on snake oil, Joy retorted without missing a beat. Whoopi desperately tried to regain control. Ladies, let's take a breath here and try to have a constructive conversation. But the damage was done. Gwyneth's zen-like persona had completely evaporated, replaced by the kind of righteous indignation that only comes from someone who genuinely believes they're being wrongfully attacked. Joy, I came here today as a guest on your show to talk about my work and my passion for helping people live healthier lives, Gwyneth said, her voice trembling with barely controlled fury. Instead, you've ambushed me with a character assassination that's based on misinformation and deliberate misrepresentation of what Goop actually does. Joy leaned back in her chair with a satisfied smirk. Ambushed you? This is called journalism, Gwyneth. These are legitimate questions about your business practices that affect real people. Journalism? Gwyneth's voice cracked with disbelief. You call this journalism? You haven't asked me a single, genuine question. You've done nothing but launch attack after attack based on tabloid headlines and internet conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories? Joy's eyes flashed dangerously. The FDA warnings about your products are conspiracy theories? The lawsuits from customers who were harmed by following your advice are conspiracy theories? The medical professionals who have spoken out against your dangerous recommendations are all part of some conspiracy? Sarah Haynes looked desperately at her producers off camera, clearly hoping someone would step in to end this disaster. But Gwyneth was past the point of polite redirection. Joy, you want to talk about harm? Let's talk about the harm you're doing right now. You're sitting here on national television spreading lies about a company that employs hundreds of people and has helped countless individuals on their wellness journeys. Wellness journeys? Joy practically spat the words. You mean expensive shopping sprees for products that don't work. Your customers aren't going on wellness journeys. They're being taken for a ride by a celebrity who thinks her fame gives her the right to play doctor. The color drained from Gwyneth's face. How dare you suggest that I think I'm playing doctor? I have never, ever claimed to be a medical professional. Goop clearly states that our products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Oh, please. Joy rolled her eyes dramatically. You hide behind those legal disclaimers while your marketing materials are full of testimonials about miracle cures and life-changing transformations. You know exactly what you're implying. Sunny tried once more to intervene. I think both perspectives have merit here. There's room for both conventional medicine and alternative approaches. Joy whirled on her co-host. No, Sunny, there isn't room for dangerous misinformation dressed up as wellness advice. When Gwyneth tells women that they can balance their hormones with a $1,000 necklace, that's not an alternative approach. That's fraud. I have never sold a $1,000 necklace for hormone balancing, Gwyneth protested, her voice rising to near shouting levels. Maybe not specifically. But you've sold crystal healing jewelry for hundreds of dollars, with claims about energy alignment and chakra balancing. Joy fired back. What's the difference? The difference is that you're deliberately distorting everything I say, and everything Goop represents. Gwyneth shot back. You've clearly made up your mind to tear me down regardless of the facts. The facts? Joy laughed harshly. Here's a fact for you. Your company has paid settlements in multiple lawsuits for false advertising. Here's another fact. The California Food, Drug, and Medical Device Task Force specifically cited Goop for making unsubstantiated health claims. Those aren't opinions, Gwyneth. Those are documented facts. Gwyneth's hands were now visibly shaking as she gripped the arms of her chair. Those settlements were made to avoid costly litigation, not because we admitted any wrongdoing. And the California situation was a misunderstanding that was resolved amicably. A misunderstanding? Joy's voice dripped with contempt. You were caught red-handed making medical claims about unregulated supplements, and you call it a misunderstanding? How convenient. Joy. You're being incredibly unfair, Gwyneth said, her voice now openly emotional. You're twisting every single thing I say. I'm not twisting anything, Joy replied coldly. I'm repeating your own marketing claims back to you. You're the one who said your psychic vampire repellent spray could protect people from negative energy. You're the one who claimed that bras cause cancer. You're the one who promoted coffee enemas as a detox method. I never claimed bras cause cancer, Gwyneth protested weakly. Your website published an article suggesting that underwire bras could increase breast cancer risk. Joy shot back immediately. Don't try to gaslight me and don't try to gaslight your audience. Whoopi made one final attempt at damage control. Let's agree to disagree and move on to lighter topics. But Joy was in full attack mode now, sensing that she had her opponent on the ropes. No, Whoopi. This is too important. This woman has built a multi-million-dollar empire by exploiting women's insecurities and health concerns. She deserves to be held accountable for the damage she's done. Gwyneth's voice was now barely above a whisper, but it carried a fury that was palpable through the television screen. What damage, Joy? What specific damage have I done? Name one person who has been harmed by following Goop's wellness recommendations. How about the women who suffered burns from your yoni steam treatments? Joy responded instantly. How about the customers who delayed seeking proper medical treatment because they thought your supplements would cure their serious illnesses? How about the people who went into debt buying your overpriced placebos instead of investing in actual health care? You're making all of that up, Gwyneth said, but her voice lacked conviction. Am I? Joy leaned forward menacingly. Because I can cite specific cases if you'd like. I can give you names and medical records. If you really want to go down this road. The studio had become so quiet that the cameras could pick up the sound of Gwyneth's rapid breathing. Her perfectly applied makeup was beginning to show stress marks, and her hands were clasped so tightly in her lap that her knuckles had turned white. This is absolutely unbelievable, Gwyneth finally managed. I came here to discuss my work, and instead, I'm being subjected to a trial by television host who clearly has some personal vendetta against me. Joy's expression turned even colder. Personal vendetta? Gwyneth, I don't know you personally and I don't care about you personally. What I care about is protecting vulnerable people from predators who use their celebrity status to sell them false hope and empty promises. The word predators hung in the air like a bomb that had just exploded. Gwyneth's face went completely white, and for a moment she looked like she might actually faint right there on live television. Predators? Gwyneth's voice was barely audible, but the microphones picked up every trembling syllable. Did you just call me a predator? Joy didn't back down an inch. If the shoe fits, Gwyneth, what else do you call someone who targets vulnerable women and sells them false hope for premium prices? I cannot believe what I'm hearing right now, Gwyneth whispered, shaking her head in stunned disbelief. You're calling me a predator on national television because I run a wellness company? I'm calling you what you are, Joy replied with brutal directness. A celebrity who has monetized women's desperation and insecurity. You take advantage of people who are struggling with their health, their weight, their self-esteem, and you sell them expensive placebos while convincing them that conventional medicine is somehow inferior or corrupt. Gwyneth's breathing became visibly rapid and shallow. Joy, you don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea how many letters I receive from women thanking me for introducing them to approaches that have genuinely improved their lives. Oh, I'm sure you get plenty of testimonials, Joy said with a dismissive wave. That's how con artists operate. They rely on anecdotal evidence and emotional manipulation instead of scientific proof. Con artist? Gwyneth's voice cracked completely. You just called me a con artist? On live television? Sarah Haynes looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. Maybe we should take a commercial break? No, Joy said firmly. We're having an important conversation here. Gwyneth, if you don't like being called a con artist, then stop acting like one. Stop selling people products that you know don't work. Stop making claims that you know you can't prove. I'm not making claims that I can't prove, Gwyneth protested, but her voice was now openly sobbing. Everything we sell at Goop is based on research and traditional healing practices that have been used for centuries. Traditional healing practices? Joy's voice rose to match Gwyneth's emotional intensity. Like the time you recommended that women put jade eggs inside their bodies to balance their chi? Traditional healing practices don't include inserting random rocks into your reproductive organs, Gwyneth. That's not what we recommended, Gwyneth cried out. You're deliberately mischaracterizing everything. I'm quoting your own website, Joy shot back. I'm using your own words against you. If you don't like how your recommendations sound when they're repeated back to you, maybe that should tell you something about how dangerous and ridiculous they actually are. Whoopi made one last desperate attempt to restore order. Ladies, this conversation has gotten way too heated. Let's try to find some common ground here. I'm B. But Joy was relentless. Common ground? Whoopi. There's no common ground between evidence-based medicine and whatever fantasy world Gwyneth is living in. She's literally sitting here defending the sale of psychic vampire repellent spray. How do we find common ground with that level of delusion? That was the final straw. Gwyneth shot up from her chair so suddenly that it nearly tipped over backward. Delusion? You want to talk about delusion? Joy? The real delusion is thinking that you can sit here and destroy someone's reputation and livelihood based on nothing but your own ignorance and prejudice. Ignorance? Joy stood up as well, facing Gwyneth across the coffee table. I've done my homework, Gwyneth. I've read the scientific literature. I've talked to medical professionals. I've researched your company's track record. You're the one who's ignorant. If you think you can keep getting away with this scam, Gwyneth's voice rose to a near shriek. Scam? How dare you? How absolutely dare you sit there and call my life's work a scam? I have helped millions of people explore wellness options that work for their individual needs. You've helped millions of people waste their money, Joy fired back without hesitation. You've helped millions of people delay getting real medical treatment. You've helped millions of people believe that their health problems are their own fault for not thinking positively enough or buying the right crystals. Tears were now streaming down Gwyneth's face, ruining her carefully applied makeup. I am done with this. I am absolutely done. This is not an interview. This is a public execution. And I will not sit here and allow you to continue destroying my reputation with lies and misrepresentations. Then leave, Joy said coldly. But don't pretend you're the victim here. The real victims are the women who trusted you and got hurt because of it. Gwyneth looked around desperately at the other hosts, hoping for some support, but found only uncomfortable silence and averted eyes. Even Whoopi seemed to have given up trying to mediate the situation. This is unbelievable, Gwyneth said, her voice breaking completely. I came here as a guest, and I'm being treated like a criminal. Joy, you should be ashamed of yourself for conducting an interview this way. I'm not ashamed of anything, Joy replied with ice-cold conviction. I'm proud of asking the questions that other people are too polite or too starstruck to ask. Someone needs to hold you accountable for the harm you've done. Gwyneth grabbed her purse from the floor beside her chair, her movements sharp and angry. This is supposed to be a talk show, not a courtroom, and you clearly have no interest in having an actual conversation. Running away? Joy called out, as Gwyneth started to move toward the edge of the set. That's pretty typical for someone who can't defend their actions. Gwyneth spun around one final time, her face streaked with tears and mascara. I'm not running away from anything, Joy. I'm walking away from a bully who has decided to use her platform to destroy someone she's never even taken the time to understand. I understand you perfectly, Joy replied with a final devastating blow. You're a privileged celebrity who thinks her fame gives her the right to play with other people's health and well-being. And when someone finally calls you out on it, you can't handle the truth. Without another word, Gwyneth turned and walked off the set, leaving behind a studio full of stunned silence and a television audience that had just witnessed one of the most brutal confrontations in daytime television history. Joy settled back into her chair with a satisfied expression, while the other hosts sat in shocked silence, clearly struggling to process what had just happened. The camera lingered on the empty guest chair for several long seconds before finally cutting to commercial. That was one of the most intense moments we've ever covered here on the channel. What did you think of Joy Behar's aggressive questioning style? Was she justified in going after Gwyneth that hard? Or did she cross the line into bullying? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more explosive celebrity confrontations and behind-the-scenes drama that you won't see anywhere else.